Nat.
I'm parched.
Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we're looking at the biggest mistakes Channel 4 has ever made.
There is actually a dialogue going on about slavery right now that has not been happening at all.
Number 20. Outraging Christians. Jesus the Evidence. A mere 2 years into its lifespan, and Channel 4 had already commissioned what would serve to be one of the most controversial documentaries in British history, Jesus the Evidence. It was a critical examination of Christianity, something bound to go down poorly with a certain sect of the British public. In this case, it was the writers and readers of the Christian magazine Buzz who launched a campaign against Channel 4 for broadcasting this critical look at the Gospels.
Constantine's successors, desperate to maintain unity, destroyed Christian documents which conflicted with the beliefs of the emerging Roman Church.
Specifically, the programme was concerned with the beginnings of Christianity, how it was formed and whether it was formed by men rather than by God. But even critical scholars thought that the route Channel 4 took was possibly too absurd and provocative.
One eminent scholar in particular, the German David Friedrich Strauss, had become convinced that the Gospels were not written by eyewitnesses.
Number 19. Injuring celebrities. The Jump.
It's just part of sort of my process of hopefully becoming good at what I'm doing.
Channel 4's often had rotten luck with reality TV. While it was the original home of Big Brother, which we'll be getting to later, it's definitely not been able to compete with the titanic reality offerings of ITV in recent years. But The Jump was clearly a bridge too far. Celebrities were tasked to compete with one another in winter sports for this show, which ended up plagued by horrible injuries. There were 4 series of this until it was eventually rested, after a handful of dislocations and one far more serious injury involving Olympic gymnast Beth Tweddle. Tweddle hurt her back so seriously that she later had to have surgery to fuse 2 vertebrae.
It was like being on a motorway hitting another car. It was horrific.
Number 18. Undercover Teacher. Dispatchers.
But if you want Miss Darling to stay around and want to teach you, then you're going to have to start being a little bit more positive.
Channel 4's foremost current affairs programme is Dispatchers, which has earned scoops to rival Panorama in its comparatively shorter time on the airwaves. But that's not to say it's never got in trouble. One contentious episode was Undercover Teacher, in which qualified science teacher Alex Dolan went undercover to expose the shoddy behaviour of Britain's children. Hardly worthy of investigative journalism.
Are you ready for the inspectors?
They've taken some of the very worst ones I went out on a day trip like they did last time.
In the end, nobody liked Dolan's work, and she lost her teaching licence after violating pupils' trust by making the programme. 20 years later, and we're certainly sure that recording children without their or their parents' permission and broadcasting it on national television is against myriad data privacy laws.
In this school, discipline appears to have broken down. Even if pupils are aware of the rules, there seems to be little respect for them.
Number 17. Unsupervised kids. Boys and girls alone.
Imagine a world without grown-ups. A world governed by children, where every decision is made by a 10-year-old.
What do you think would happen if you took 2 groups of kids and left them alone in a house for a fortnight, forced to learn how to take care of themselves? Channel 4 wanted to find out, so they did just that and filmed the results, as the communities descended into infighting and blatant child endangerment, like a real-life Lord of the Flies.
I called the meeting because if some people go to a leisure park and some people don't get to go anywhere, that isn't fair, is it, for them?
The production crew was still there and allowed to intervene to stop anybody from actually getting hurt, but that didn't stop outrage in the papers over perceived child neglect. It was actually suggested that Channel 4 might have been violating child labour laws by making this, though they probably weren't.
Yeah, we want a really big cheese pizza, massive.
And what can the communities they create teach us about our own society?
Number 16. Sued for libel. The leader, his driver, and the driver's wife.
A report came through from Cape Town of AWB supporters badly beating 3 young black children and 5 black school teachers as they were leaving a swimming pool.
After years of provocative programming, 1991 saw a big libel case eventually brought against Channel 4 for this documentary about Eugene Tail Blanche, a South African neo-Nazi. But the subjects of the documentary weren't the ones who filed the libel suit. Instead, that was journalist Jani Allen, who'd already sued 2 publications successfully for making unsubstantiated claims about her alleged relationship with Tail Blanche.
Yes, he is a bit frightened at the moment, and I think he's nervous. But I talked to him last night and said he must think properly about things.
This time, though, she lost, with the courts finding that the documentary hadn't said much of anything about her. The case was fraught with drama, however, with Allen's flat getting broken into, as well as a Channel 4 executives. People even thought a conspiracy was at play, but nothing's ever been proven.
We were hoping to see the leader later that morning. In the meantime, we accompanied Anita, JP's wife, who works as a health visitor.
Number 15. James Turner Street, Benefit Street.
James Turner Street was one of the best streets.
Unemployed.
No, one of the worst.
Over a decade on, and we're still picking up the pieces of Benefit Street, a documentary that explored one of Britain's most deprived areas, James Turner Street in Birmingham. Though it was a ratings success for Channel 4, there was widespread controversy before and since, with many accusing the programme makers of being exploitative, promoting the idea that people on benefits are choosing an easier life than people in work.
Some guy will do absolutely anything for a sandwich or a couple of quid for a tinny.
Channel 4 kept cashing in on it by broadcasting a live debate, with Ofcom eventually getting hit with hundreds of complaints from people who thought it was misleading. Even Parliament was concerned, as were the newspapers and the millions of people who watched at home.
The majority of households on this street receive benefits, and for many of them, their money is being cut, and life is about to get much harder.
Number 14. Channel 4 versus Bradford. Make Bradford British.
I don't think there is such a thing as multicultural Britain right now. It's as simple as that.
Another outrageous documentary. Channel 4 this time decided it was going to criticise the concept of multiculturalism. They went to Bradford, claiming that it's the most segregated city in the UK, and forced the locals to take a citizenship test. It ended up being a competition about who was the most British.
Almost 1 million immigrants are estimated to have taken the test since it was introduced in 2005.
It was also ostensibly trying to force deeper integration in West Yorkshire, so that Bradford could be a blueprint for more multiculturalism. Suffice it to say, this wasn't well received in Bradford itself, with the council saying it reinforced negative stereotypes about the city, which would eventually go on to be a UK city of culture in 2025.
How have we not integrated? Do we not wear Western clothing? Do we not listen to Western music?
Number 13. Sex ed goes too far. Naked education.
Do we need to see naked bodies in a classroom just to know that human beings come in different shapes and sizes?
We can't show you any footage from Naked Education, which goes some way to proving how outrageous it really was. Channel 4 wanted to build on the momentum of its lurid dating show, Naked Attraction, which itself has drawn plenty of criticism, by making this version that wanted to approach nudity from a more educational angle.
So at the end of the day, we need to look at it from their perspective. And if you want to educate children, if you're going to show naked bodies, I think it's going to actually deter from the actual education as well.
The controversy was that they had nude adults strip in front of teenagers, all to teach them about body positivity, but it was clearly a step too far for many. They only made one series, and it's no longer available to watch on demand. It seems that Channel 4 would rather forget that this existed, and it also stopped making Naked Attraction the following year.
In the same way that giving them sex education isn't going to make them run out and have sex, I don't think seeing a naked body is going to make them decide to strip off and start running around the school naked or start flashing strangers.
Number 12. Sexual reenactments. Let's make a love scene.
Tonight, these 3 single ladies who have never acted before in their lives have chosen to perform 3 movie-inspired love scenes with this guy.
Another ill-advised X-rated show was Let's Make a Love Scene, where comedian Ellie Taylor, who apparently had nothing better to do, followed singletons as they recreated cinema's sauciest moments to see if sparks would fly in real life.
She does look good as well.
Chili!
They met, picked a scene, and got some coaching from an acting teacher and an intimacy coordinator to perfect it, with the first episode following 3 women acting out scenes with the same man, rugby player Leland.
It was a very good kiss. I was into it straight away.
It was then up to Leland to pick which of them he liked the most after reviewing all of the performances with Ellie. It was a bad show, plain and simple. And it's probably for the best that it only got 1 series.
Hello. Wow, you look amazing.
Thank you, you're right.
Number 11. Tackling migration. Go back to where you came from.
I think the country is eventually going to turn into a Muslim state. We definitely will not be out boozing anymore because we're not be allowed.
More shock value programming, Go Back to Where You Came From aired in early 2025, sending Brits with extreme views about immigration to the regions refugees generally travel from. It opened with one man saying we ought to put landmines in the sea to deter small boats, apparently not realising that landmines and sea mines are different things.
So what I'd do is, I get Royal Navy, set landmines up, and then any boat that come within like 50 metres of this lovely beach, they get blown up.
Channel 4 sent these people into active war zones in Syria and Somalia, and then had them journey overland back to Britain to see whether they'd changed their views. Provocative as it was though, viewers didn't change their minds after watching. Channel 4 seriously missed the mark, and we'd probably have been better off if this show didn't exist.
People can call me racist all they want, but I know that my views are just basic common sense.
Number 10. Michael Grade and Chris Morris. Brass Eye.
When I saw your photo in the press, I thought, is she blonde under her dress? I thought, I hope they make her take off her dress for the next one.
During his tenure in command of Channel 4, Michael Grade made one prominent enemy, groundbreaking satirist Chris Morris. Morris had already made The Day Today over on the BBC, but in 1997 launched panorama parody Brass Eye on Channel 4, quickly earning attention from Grade himself.
Sidney Cook was blasted into space to spend the rest of his life aboard a one-man prison vessel, posing no further threat to children on Earth.
The final episode of the first, and only, series, Decline, had various gags removed, replaced with a subliminal message deriding Grade personally for his changes.
But it was revealed that an 8-year-old boy was also placed on board by mistake and is now trapped alone in space with the monster.
Later, Brass Eye's Pedo-Geddon special was delayed by Channel 4 and proved so controversial that the entire show never returned. But given how good Brass Eye is, it can only be a mistake that we don't have more of it.
A spokesman said, "This is the one thing we didn't want to happen."
Number 9. Climate denialism, the great global warming swindle.
See, I don't even like to call it the environmental movement anymore because really it is a political activist movement, and they have become hugely influential at a global level.
20 years after this documentary, and belief in climate change has only become more resolute, with political parties enjoying major support for green endeavours. But in 2007, TV producer Martin Durkin wanted to get Channel 4 to commission a documentary arguing that global warming is a worldwide media hoax. Why anybody wants to lie about global warming remains, as ever, utterly unclear, and upon release, it was widely debunked as a conspiracy theory.
According to the theory of man-made global warming, industrial growth should cause the temperature to rise. But does it?
One of its key pieces of evidence was the spurious claim that if climate change were real, the world's temperature immediately after World War II, in the post-war boom, should have risen, but it fell, apparently forgetting the 60 to 75 million people who died and therefore weren't producing emissions.
After the Second World War, during the post-war economic boom, temperatures, in theory, should have shot up. But they didn't. They fell.
Number 8. Underage stars. Skins. It was a groundbreaking show like no other. following 3 cohorts of A-level students in Bristol as they indulged in all the hedonism teenagers dream about but don't generally get to enjoy. But some of the shine has come off skins in recent years, as more of its stars, now grown up, have talked about being put in extreme, inappropriate situations by its creators. At the time, much of the conversation was about whether real-life teens would be encouraged into dangerous situations, but now we're looking back with concern about 16-year-olds performing sex scenes and undressing on camera, particularly in the years before intimacy coordinators. Kaya Scodelario and April Pearson have both talked about feeling unsupported at the time.
That's all right. Good party. Guys, can we get going just in case Cassie's like dying or something?
Number 7. Russian Roulette. Darren Brown plays Russian Roulette live.
Tonight, I shall play Russian Roulette live in this barn behind me. 1 gun, 1 bullet, and every intention of being alive at the end of the show.
This certainly would have been a bigger mistake had it actually gone wrong, though thankfully it didn't. But it still got a lot of people complaining to broadcasting standards about Channel 4 allowing such a dangerous stunt to go out.
To load the weapon, take a cartridge. This one is a dummy cartridge, okay? It has a red end. The ones that we will use on the day will not be painted red.
In the programme, which was live but with a 15-minute delay, just in case someone really did shoot themselves, Darren Brown played Russian Roulette with some suggestible members of the public, making use of his usual mentalist/magician tricks.
Place the gun on the table for me. All right.
But the show was also misleading, with adverts stating that live ammunition was going to be used when, actually, they were all blanks. You would still likely die if you get shot with a blank at close range, but that doesn't change that they were lying. Number 6. Interviewing Robert Downey Jr., Channel 4 News. Because broadcasters in the UK don't do fluffy interviews simply designed to promote a piece of media, when a Hollywood star turns up to talk about a film, the junket questions get a bit more serious.
I'm not saying that I'm such a fantasist that I felt like I was Tony Stark, but I felt like it was my persona. But none of us are our personas.
That was what happened when Krishnan Guru Murthy was given the task of interviewing Robert Downey Jr. while doing press for Avengers Age of Ultron. But the questions got personal when Guru Murthy wanted to ask about Downey's political views, not the kind of thing most A-listers will generally discuss in a press junket.
Does that mean you're not a liberal, or that you came out of prison not being a liberal?
Are we promoting a movie?
But Downey wasn't to be tripped up so easily. In the end, he got sick of it all and walked out in a deeply embarrassing moment for Channel 4.
I'm sorry, I really don't. What are we doing?
Well, I'm just asking questions, that's all.
Right.
I mean,
okay. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Are you... Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Number 5. Interviewing Tarantino, Channel 4 News.
So you can't be surprised by the controversy that's come along with it?
Well, you can't. I don't think you can actually make a movie about slavery in America that it's not going to be controversial.
Another cringe-inducing interview from newsman Krishnan Guru Murthy. This time, he was talking to Quentin Tarantino about his latest film at the time, Django Unchained. Like Downey Jr., Tarantino was under the impression that his Channel 4 spot was going to be an advert for his film, apparently not knowing about Britain's extremely strict product placement laws.
Because I'm here to sell my movie. This is a commercial for the movie, make no mistake.
Well, you interviews.
Yeah.
So you don't want to talk about anything serious?
But again, we have to wonder why Channel 4 kept giving Krishnan these bizarre interviews, or indeed doing them at all. Guru Murthy hasn't had a contentious interview in some time, so maybe Channel 4 finally learnt its lesson. Or did Hollywood just stop answering its calls?
No, but you haven't fleshed it out. That's the only reason.
It's not my job to flesh it out.
No, it's my job to try and ask you to.
And I'm shutting your butt down.
Number 4. Promoting self-pleasure. Wank Week. How often do you manage it? Don't actually answer that question in our comments, whatever you do. But in 2007, Channel 4 really wanted to discuss the nation's masturbatory habits.
I am here because I really struggle to get wet.
For a whole week, Channel 4 was going to be wall-to-wall self-pleasure content. Well, not really, but that was what the critics said. It was actually going to be 3 documentaries aired across the week, but public opposition was so strong, accusing Channel 4 of shirking its responsibilities as a public service broadcaster, that it was ultimately cancelled.
The company has hundreds of testers around the UK, indulging in pleasure in return for honest feedback.
Channel 4 was accused of being obsessed with sex, which was probably a fair cop. But over 20 years later, we're not sure anybody would bat an eye at Wank Week if it returned. Number 3. Asking for your dead body. The Gunther von Hagen's body appeal.
I went into the dissection lab and I had to look in, and it was a big surprise because the nerves weren't yellow, the arteries weren't bright reds, the veins weren't bright blue.
Anatomist Gunther von Hagen's made a handful of programmes with Channel 4, notably Autopsy, Life and Death, in which he performed an autopsy long after the watershed. But he also made this one a few years later, where he travelled across London to raise awareness for the lack of available cadavers for medical students.
My mission? Well, to find out what motivates people who'll agree to do this, but also look at what makes people reluctant to do it.
While Van Hagen was joined by doctors, the simple fact that he himself is not a doctor and still tours with his displays of plastinated dead bodies is deeply off-putting for many. He's largely disappeared from our television screens, and honestly, that's a relief. The last thing you want is to be channel surfing, only to get hit with a visual of someone's corpse.
Gunther's had his differences with the British medical establishment in the past. In 2002, he incurred their wrath when he performed the UK's first public autopsy for 170 years.
Number 2. Nat and Georgia Simpson, Brookside. There were many mistakes in Brookside, including its baffling cult and plague subplots, but the one people hated more than any other was the incest siblings.
Why did you come here tonight?
To see Mum and Dad. Say hello.
Right, after 6 months you suddenly turn up out of the blue.
The Simpsons moved into the cul-de-sac, and viewers grew increasingly concerned over the intense sexual tension whenever Nat and his sister Georgia were on screen together. Eventually, it became clear that the two were involved in a deeply inappropriate relationship, eventually outed when their younger brother discovered them in flagrante.
I only want to kiss you goodbye.
The Simpsons were ultimately written off the show because this was a storm Channel 4 just couldn't weather, for very good reason. We've never seen something quite this revolting in soapland since.
All we're saying is if you two are going to live under the same roof, then your mother and I will have to move out, or else you two are going to have to bury the hatchet.
Number 1. Big Brother's big racism problem. Celebrity Big Brother. 2007 was an immense year for Channel 4. Years into the never-ending controversy of Big Brother, there was finally a scandal that completely breached containment when Indian contestant Shilpa Shetty was subject to appalling racist comments by other housemates. Jade Goody, famous for being on the civilian version, got the brunt of the public backlash, but she was joined in her attitudes by some of her family members, also in the house, as well as Danielle Lloyd and Joe O'Meara.
And I just feel that if this is what a TV show does to people, then it shouldn't be a TV show.
As they steadily left the house one by one, they were confronted with irate crowds and a judgmental Davina McCall, forced to answer for what they'd been saying. Shetty ultimately won, but it wasn't long until Channel 4 cancelled the show.
Do you feel there should be another series of Celebrity Big Brother, or is this it?
I don't think they should carry on with Big Brother.
Let us know in the comments what videos you want us to do next, especially if they're on something we haven't covered before.